An administration official says the two asylum seekers, a mother and her daughter, are now back in Texas this morning after a federal judge ordered their plane that was taking them back to El Salvador to be turned right around to bring them back to the United States. The government had apparently deported them while they were in the middle of their fight, their legal proceeding, trying to be granted asylum in this country. The judge, Emmet Sullivan, erupted when he heard that they had been deported in the middle of this, and he even threatened to hold the U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions in contempt. The mother goes by the name of Carmen, and she came to the U.S. from El Salvador with her young daughter after what she says were in her words, 2 decades of horrific sexual abuse by her husband and death threats from violent gangs. With me now is Lee Gillard, Deputy Director of the ACLU Immigrants' Rights Project. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're such an important voice right now because it's ACLU attorneys that were fighting and are fighting her asylum case. She's back. What's your reaction to what has transpired in the last 24 hours?
Right. Well, it was horrendous. I mean, the fear she must have felt being sent back after she knew that this case was ongoing, it's unimaginable. And so fortunately, we found out about it in time. The judge said, get them back here. And as you said, it was extremely forceful. And now the bigger issue will be ongoing. There are so many families like this who are fleeing. And the Attorney General has basically completely undermined the asylum laws.
Just on that point, can you remind people what has changed? Because it's at the discretion of the Attorney General to change the preference and of who can seek asylum in this country and who's given preference, et cetera. That changed dramatically, which cuts out a lot of people like this woman, Carmen, that have faced, sexual abuse, domestic assault.
Right. Well, what people should understand is the Attorney General does not have complete discretion about asylum. That's by statute, it's by precedent, it's by international treaties. There's only a small amount of discretion at the very end if they find that someone has committed a very, very serious crime. But what he did is he didn't exercise his discretion in that respect. He changed the eligibility standards and he distorted them completely. It's unlawful. And I think it's part and parcel of everything this administration is trying to do, because the family separation, if you remember, was done to try and deter asylum seekers from coming here. Well, they didn't get away with that. Now they're trying to change the eligibility standard and say, well, you're going to come here, we're going to deny you wholesale.
How many children remain? Because this was wall-to-wall coverage a few weeks ago.
Right.
It's not wall-to-wall anymore, but the problem still persists. How many children are still separated from their parents?
We believe about 500 to 600.
Still.
And
so when you look at the responsibility, who it's on, the government, the State Department said, about a week ago, we think the ACLU, you guys should be in charge of finding these parents and give us the list and where they are so we can reunite the people we separated. Where does that stand?
The judge put an end to that. He said, absolutely not. It's the government's responsibility. They separated them. It's their responsibility. We've always been willing to help, and we will help. But I think the government's gotten the message, and they are starting to take steps. I don't think it's sufficient what they're doing, but they've gotten the message. The judge wants none of that shifting the blame or responsibility onto us.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right.